Smoke rises from the Anvil of Vaul, and darkness falls on Caledor as we jump into another Trials of Tzeentch game with SFO Grimhammer. As you guys well know at this point, I love me some auto-gen armies, and this one was a doozy. Greenskins and Avelorn, Arachnarok spiders, Doomdiver catapults, orc warbosses, and a whole lot of WAAAGH have taken up the hill nearest the mightiest of volcanoes. And if the High Elves want to take their home back, they're going to have to go through the mean green orc machine, but they've got the tools to do it. Sun Dragon's certainly going to help. Right at home near the lava of Caledor, and the Everqueen's Court Guard are some of the finest archers in Warhammer 2, able to lay down fire so thick you could walk on it to the LZ. The Maiden Guard are their melee mirrors, bodyguards of Valerial with fantastic combat stats, and a banner of Isha that grants +6 melee attack in an AoE. Very elite unit. So, as we get the battle underway, Greenskins are getting super aggressive with some Vanguard shenanigans. Always fun to start off a game like that. Let's take a look at the Everqueen's Court Guard. 200 range, 72 missile damage, and a banished contact effect that will be the perfect trait to have once demons enter the fray. They pack a wallop, and their Banner of Avelorn would be great if we had a caster, but Tzeentch saw fit to taketh away. So we have no means of casting spells, which is honestly a pretty big loss in SFO because magic is powerful. Goblin Wolf Riders and Moon Howlers going to try to pound this elf army from the rear, and right from the start, they'll get into their target. They're going to go right for those bolt thrower crew and pile on top of those poor boys, but might be able to save them if we take them off the artillery and run them forward and hope the light cav can pin them in place long enough to get the crew away. Sun Dragon got some tasty treats to munch on out on the right flank. Doggo's very displeased with that arrangement, bucking it out of there early, and they're going to get terror routed, and the dragon will feast on their flesh. And already, I gotta say, this was a very risky play, very admirable one, but so close to the white line, when they rout, they don't really have anywhere to rally to. So there's a very good chance a lot of these are just gonna run straight off of the map. I admire the balls though. Good idea, just really hard to execute in the choke point on VAUL'S ANVIL. And so the light cav are just going to pretty much rout off the field immediately. And they didn't get the artillery crew either. So not the biggest loss, honestly. Light cav isn't very expensive, and to take out an artillery crew that would have been dealing with a lot of those Doomdivers pretty well. Not a bad idea, but just didn't work out, and the Heralds of the Wind, Illyrian Reaver archers, will take out the remnants of this Greenskin ambush attack. So, Avelorn gonna have a very long way to go, as one poor Wolf Rider tries to make it to the white line, and you ain't going nowhere, buddy. Pin-cushioned and taken down. And they're going to have to ascend a pretty steep slope in the face of a lot of Doomdiver artillery fire. More light cav moving up now, the Death Creepers. A lot of Orc boys in the front ranks, some Night Goblins, 2 Doomdiver catapults, unleashing their hilarious loads across the battlefield. Arachnarok Spider in the center, Orc Warboss, and an Orc Shaman with all of his spells. So that means Foot of Gork, that means AoE Go, and that means Gaze of Mork magic missiles as well. So remember, both sides are playing by Trials of Tzeentch special rules, so auto-gen armies all the way around. Honestly, not terrible ones, as the Death Creepers try to get some shots into that Great Eagle. The Heralds of the Wind will unleash some of their own archer shots, but yeah, they're gonna get kind of pounded into the dirt by those Doomdiver catapults, and there's no real use sticking around there because they will get pummeled. Sun Dragon on the prowl, and that is probably represents the biggest threat to the Greenskin army. They don't have a lot of tools for taking that Sun Dragon down. The Maiden Guard are probably going to be an issue for the Orc Boy front line as well. They have like 60 melee attack, 60 melee defense. Crazy stats, they're just incredibly expensive. And Death Creepers getting out too close here, way too close, and will get terror routed by the Sun Dragon and feared by the Great Eagle. So they will run, and they took an obscene amount of damage from those shots from the Sisters of Avelorn. So, starting this game hasn't been great to the Greenskins, but they have a very powerful terrain advantage at the moment. They have the high ground Anakin, and this does look kind of like Mustafar, doesn't it? We've got the lava all around, we've got the dark rock. These are the Talons of Caledor. Very short range for an arch unit, but they're a versatile one. Kind of in a hybrid, but instead of a defensive hybrid like the Lothern Seaguard, a bit more aggressive, so they can get into melee and do a bit more damage than Lothern Seaguard would typically be able to. So the bolt throwers are going after the Doomdiver catapult crew, but while bolt throwers are great for sniping out artillery usually, Doomdivers have a very low profile, so they're not going to get sniped out by that very easily. And we actually haven't taken any of them out so far. Doomdiver catapults, meanwhile, are destroying the bolt thrower crew with some relatively pinpoint accurate shots, and Gaze of Mork from across the map will also take out a few as well. So the High Elf Lord, not too happy with that. We're gonna have to go in, is pretty much how this is gonna go. I was thinking, yeah, it'd be great to snipe out some of that artillery and make them come to me so they don't get that high ground advantage, but I was noticing my crew's not going to survive, so we've got to do something, and that means close the gap, get in, and allow our Swordmasters of Hoeth and the Maiden Guard to hopefully turn things in my favor, while those Everqueen Court Guard shred the big Mama Spider. And Sun Dragon letting it rip from the flank into some Orc Boys, and not going to generate an obscene amount of value just because it's an Orc Boy unit, but still, being able to chunk through half the HP of an Orc Boy is no joke, and that will allow my Maiden Guard, who are on that side, to get in and pretty much rout them off of the charge, which will be really important because it'll open up the battlefield a lot for me, allow me to maybe get some flanking charges in, and just kind of put pressure on the back with the Orc Archers. And so the Maiden Guard will charge in, and they're right where I want them, right on top of those mushrooms. We'll be making some fungi kebab out of those poor Orc Boys, and very quickly they will crumble in the face of Alariel's elite spear women. So they're going to get right through. Those elf spear units are going to chop through them and get into pretty much any target I want them to get into. They've got a lot of mobility. They'll be able to skirt through and maybe get into the rear or the archers. And over here, we've kind of made a mistake with the Great Eagle, which I've been having a lot of micro mistakes with recently. I think it's because they're so squishy that if you land at an inappropriate time, they don't have the mass or power to get out, and they'll just go down very quickly. And so, surrounded by Savage Orc Warboy Big Guns, and here, Swordmasters of Hoeth fighting Night Goblins and Orc Boys, and they're actually not doing that well because they're getting pounded by Doom Diver Catapults. And in the center, Arachnarok Queen chomping through a lot of the Azure Spearmen, and Orc Boys trying to push through as well. A little bit blobbed up from the Orc Boys there, can maybe flank a bit more than they are, because that's 3 on top of 1 Azure Spearman unit, and it's giving our archers more time to fire, but ammo crisscrossing across both sides, and Sun Dragon into the artillery crew. Great Eagle goes down. It was seconds from the time it landed to the time it died to that Greenskin Cav. Arachnarok Spider taking so many armor-piercing shots from the talons of Caledor and from those Sisters of Avelorn, but their own Orc Archers are giving it back pretty well, honestly. Foot of Gork about to come down on top of the Sisters of Avelorn, who will dodge out of the way and take no damage there, and looks like the Court Guard have gotten into the rear of the Greenskin line, but Swordmasters of Hoeth just routed too. So elite units on both sides going down pretty quick, and the Court Guard are in probably the best spot of any unit so far this game. Straight into the back of the Greenskin front line, and those Orc Boys are, I mean, you can see their leadership starting to crumble. Night Goblins not really enjoying being prodded in the rear. That's usually a Scarsnake's stick, but they've broken the High Elf right flank. Talons of Caledor used all their ammo, but now forced to charge into melee, and the Arachnarok Spider getting in there as well. Big AoE buff for the Greenskins. Gonna buff up the Orc Boys and make sure that they deal much more damage in this sustained melee, and they're gonna be able to get through those High Elf Spearmen relatively quick. And a big breath attack, a gorgeous breath attack from the Sun Dragon will turn that completely on its head, and suddenly that Sun Dragon is up to more than 200 kills in 2 breath attacks, and the melee work it was doing in the back lines against those Orc Archers and against those Doom Diver Catapults. But both those are still online too. Killing artillery crews in SFO Grimhammer, not the easiest thing in the world. And a big breath attack coming in from the flank. Gonna be going down from that Orc Shaman and putting a lot of pressure on those archers in the rear. But the Sun Dragon has his eyes set on him, and there's some bacon that's ready to be cooked up, and it shouldn't be more than a couple of attacks before that Shaman for the Greenskins goes down. He's gonna have to book it, and I'm not sure that that Bacon Rider can outrun a dragon. I mean, they're way faster, they've got the aerial mobility, and the Illyrian Reavers are coming in to tie him down too. One Orc Boy going flying, and I think, Orc Shaman, there is nowhere for you to go. Pinned in place, served up on a silver platter, and the Dragon of Caledor will munch and feast on mushroom and meat. Alright, so, Greenskins lost their sorcerer, but they generated some value from him. That Orc Shaman definitely did some work. I mean, the Fists of Gork really helped those Swordmasters crumble. I don't even think they got 50 kills, which is a pretty big loss, but the Arachnarok Spider is routing, and those Everqueen Court Guards the Greenskins are doing a very good thing right now, and that is focusing them down with the Doomdiver catapults, who have not been destroyed by any of the light cav from the High Elves, and now these very elite, very expensive archers are getting ripped apart from long range. There's not a whole lot they can do about it, but the Arachnarok Spider running for the red line, and the High Elf Lord and the Sun Dragon giving chase, making sure it does not return to the fight, and it took so much damage from those armor-piercing shots from the Sisters of Avelorn. Lyrian Reavers charging into melee, and the Savage Orc Warboy Big Guns will just run them over. I mean, there was a unit there, no longer. A lot of the melee troops for the High Elves are crumbling here in the face of the WAAAGH, but to be honest, on both sides, the melee troops are beaten to hell. Sun Dragon is full HP, and that's a very big deal, but the Orc Warboss also relatively full HP, and these cavalry are going to be a big issue, unless the Sun Dragon decides to unleash some more gorgeous breath attacks, and that is exactly what it's going to do. And again, about a third of their health, maybe more, maybe half of their HP bar disappearing in a single salvo of flaming lava breath. And they're running. Now, they will come back. They're not near the white line, and the Maiden Guard are into the archers, and again, feasting. Wow, look at those kills. Almost at 250 right now. That's crazy. But to be fair, they haven't really fought anything elite at all. It's all been beaten up orc boys or archers, pretty much. But they're starting to get dragged through the muck. I mean, they've been doing a lot of fighting this game. They're the only reason the High Elves even came close to winning that fight with the Greenskins in the center. Their rear charge was a huge deal. Racked up a massive amount of kills against those goblins and the orc boys, but just kind of attrition over the course of the game has worn them down, and they're pretty close to the end of their rope. But the Sun Dragon saying hello to the orc archers, and with them being so close to the white line, might route off the side of the map. A lot of Greenskin units kind of teetering on the edge, but that's very true for the Azure as well. If you take a look at what remains on this battlefield, everything is very close to going down, and probably the biggest issue for the High Elves right now is that those Doomdiver catapults are still alive. There just was not enough light cav to get in there and actually kill off the artillery crew when those Savage Orc Warboy Big Guns were still around. Sun Dragon, not actually that good at taking out an entire artillery crew. It just takes a while to chunk them down and actually force them to rout. So we've been going for more higher value targets. Might have been a mistake because of how much damage those Doomdiver catapults have done. But the Cav is routing. Again, looks like they might be able to rally, but the High Elf Lord charging in, and the Prince will look to duel that Orc Warboss, which will pretty much be the deciding factor here. Whoever's Lord is the last one standing is going to win this battle. And I'd say that their HP is about even, but of course have the advantage of a Sun Dragon. Now, things get a little bit scary for the Greenskins. Sun Dragon full HP, and you say, okay, well, I mean, how are Greenskins going to win this? I mean, the Orc Warboss is going to get destroyed in this duel. It's getting double teamed right now. No way he can win, and that may be true. He's running away, but super interesting thing, and I did not know this. I had no idea this was going to work, but take a look at what happens here. Orc archers charge into melee, tie down the Sun Dragon, and the two Doomdiver catapults will focus down that huge behemoth in the center of everything and start strapping goblins on its head. And suddenly, with the Orc Warboss in support, that monster of Caledor will feel its life essence begin to plummet as the focus fire comes in and WAAAGH pops off again. And this Sun Dragon is getting beaten to hell. And I would have never expected two Doomdiver catapults focusing it down would actually work well. But look at that. The last time we looked, it had 6,000 HP. It now has 2,000 and is on the verge of shattering and breaking from the field. Now, it's still on the hunt and finally pushed past all those melee troops, and the Orc boys have routed, now getting some attacks into the rear of the Orc Warboss and behind the Doomdiver catapult, so they can't fire, and they're pretty much out of ammunition anyway. And now the Orc Warboss took a couple more attacks. We take a look at these Sisters of Avelorn, who have no health left whatsoever, just 3, running around the battlefield doing whatever they can, but the Orc Warboss shatters, and that will be your game. But I was shocked to see how much damage my Sun Dragon took in that fight. Who knew? Orc Warboss goes down, gets his head ripped off by the monster of Caledor, and the Dragon of the Dragonspine Mountains will carry the day, and without question was the biggest, most important factor that battle, backed up by my High Elf Lord, my High Elf Prince, incredibly well. But, I mean, he almost died there. And if the Sun Dragon goes down, Orc Warboss probably beats the High Elf Lord, and that goes the way of the Greenskins. So I think there's about 1,800 health left on that dragon, and it would have been even less damage required than that to make sure it ran from the field. Really close to going the Greenskins' way. Dragons are a force of nature in SFO, and so in a game mode like Trials of Tzeentch where you can't pick dedicated counters, you kind of just have to go with whatever Tzeentch gives you, it can be hard to deal with a dragon like that, and that's what we saw there. Had no real way to shut him down when he was in the air, and 300 kills is pretty mean, but to be fair, again, a lot of that was on very low tier troops. I mean, we're talking light cav, orc boys, night goblins, not necessarily generating like an obscene amount of value, but still, without question, carried the day for me and got at least 2 or 3 chevrons that game. The Maiden Guard, 281 kills, was super impressive too, and the Sisters of Avelorn, 91. Now, for the Greenskins, the light cav attack was a really good idea. The problem is, on this kind of map, and the fact that they were just so close to the borders of the realm, I mean, they pretty much went in and got terror-routed by the Sun Dragon immediately and then left the battlefield. If he had maybe only Vanguard deployed with 2 instead of the 4 and kept 2 of those light cav in his own backline to deal with the dragon a bit more, might have been able to take that game simply off of that because you saw how close it was. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Any Pride, signing out for now.